Emily Whitmore had always imagined her wedding day would be filled with white roses and her mother's joyful tears. Instead, she stood in a sterile courthouse wearing a borrowed dress, signing papers that felt more like a business contract than a marriage certificate. Logan Blackwood barely looked at her during the ceremony. At 35, he was everything the tabloids claimed: ruthlessly handsome, impossibly wealthy, and utterly cold. His dark eyes held no warmth as the judge pronounced them husband and wife. No kiss sealed their union, only the scratch of pen on paper. "This isn't a love story," he told her as they left the courthouse. "This is an arrangement. We'll have everything you need, but don't mistake necessity for affection." Emily's parents had made their desperation clear 3 weeks ago. Medical bills from her father's cancer treatment had crushed them. Logan's offer was their only salvation: marry him for 2 years, and her family's debts would disappear. The Blackwood estate loomed before them like a fortress of glass and steel. Inside, Emily was shown to her room, beautiful, expensive, and isolated. Logan's suite was on the opposite wing, a deliberate distance that spoke louder than words. That first night, she sat by her window, watching the city lights twinkle below. She'd traded her freedom for her family's survival. But something deep inside her refused to accept that this was all she would ever be. Ghost in Logan Blackwood's perfect empty world. 3 months passed in careful avoidance. Logan left before dawn and returned after midnight. Emily explored the vast house, read in the library, and swam in the pool while he worked. There were strangers sharing the same address. Then came the charity gala. "You'll attend as my wife," Logan announced over breakfast, the first words he'd spoken to her in weeks. "The car leaves at 7. Emily chose a midnight blue gown that made her feel armor-strong. When Logan saw her descending the staircase, something flickered in his granite eyes before he looked away. At the gala, she watched him work the room with calculated charm. Every smile was precise, every handshake measured. But when an elderly woman approached them, Logan's mask slipped. "Logan, dear, you look just like your father did at your age," the woman said warmly. Logan's jaw tightened. "Mrs. Chen, you remember my wife, Emily?" As Mrs. Chen walked away, Emily caught Logan's reflection in a champagne flute. For just a moment, his carefully constructed facade cracked, revealing something raw and wounded beneath. "Your father," Emily said quietly as they drove home. "You loved him." Logan's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. "Love is a luxury I can't afford, can't, or won't." He pulled into their driveway and finally looked at her. "What's the difference?" Emily unbuckled her seatbelt, but didn't get out. "The difference is choice. You choose to be alone, Logan, but choosing doesn't make it necessary." He stared at her for a long moment before stepping out of the car without another word. But Emily had seen something shift in his eyes, a crack in the wall he'd built around his heart. The storm hit on a Tuesday night. Emily woke to thunder rattling the windows and found the power out. She grabbed a flashlight and ventured through the dark hallways, following the sound of breaking glass. She found Logan in his study, surrounded by shattered crystal and scattered papers. His shirt was torn, his knuckles bleeding. In the flashlight's beam, he looked less like a billionaire and more like a lost boy. "Logan." She approached slowly, as if he might bolt. "What happened?" He laughed bitterly. "Today marks 10 years since my father died. 10 years since I discovered everything he built was a lie. His company, his reputation, his love for my mother, all of it, bought and sold like commodities." Emily set down the flashlight and knelt beside him, carefully picking up glass shards. "That doesn't erase who you are, doesn't it? I've spent a decade becoming exactly like him. Cold, calculating, treating people like assets on a balance sheet." His voice cracked, "Including you." She touched his bleeding hand gently. "Then stop. It's too late. This is who I am now." "No," Emily said firmly, meeting his eyes. "This is who you've chosen to be. But choice goes both ways." Logan studied her face in the dim light. For the first time since their wedding, he really saw her not as an obligation or a contract, but as Emily, the woman who'd endured his coldness with quiet dignity. who'd found her own strength in his rejection. "Why did you really agree to marry me?" he asked softly. "To save my family." "But I stayed because I saw glimpses of the man you're trying so hard to bury." She stood and extended her hand. "Come on, let me help you clean this up." He took her hand, and something fundamental shifted between them. The walls began to crumble. After the storm, something changed. Logan began joining Emily for breakfast. He asked about her day, shared fragments of his own. The ice between them thawed slowly, carefully. One evening, Emily found him standing in a room she'd never seen a nursery frozen in time. Dust motes danced in the fading sunlight that filtered through closed curtains. "This was going to be for the baby," Logan said without turning around. "Sarah was 6 months pregnant when she left me." Emily's breath caught. "Logan, she said she couldn't raise a child with a man who'd forgotten how to feel. She was right. I'd built such high walls that I couldn't even reach my own family." He touched a mobile that hung motionless above the crib. "She lost the baby 3 months after she left. Stress," the doctor said. Emily stepped closer. "Where is she now? Remarried? Happy? She sends Christmas cards sometimes." He finally turned to face her. "I tell myself I bought you to prove I could have what I wanted. Was terrified you'd see what Sarah saw, that I was empty inside." "You're not empty," Emily whispered. "You're hurt. There's a difference." Logan crossed to her slowly, his hand trembling as he touched her cheek. "How can you look at me like that after what I've put you through? Because I see who you really are. Under all that pain and anger, you're still the man who remembers his father's birthday every year, who keeps his ex-wife's Christmas cards because he still cares about her happiness." Their faces were inches apart now. "Emily, I love you," she said simply. "Not the man you pretend to be, but the one you're afraid to be." Logan's carefully maintained control finally shattered. He kissed her with 10 years of loneliness and longing, and Emily kissed him back with all the hope she'd been carrying in her heart. 6 months later, Emily woke to the sound of laughter drifting through the open windows. Real laughter, warm and unguarded, coming from the garden below. Logan was teaching her nephew Alex to swim during his summer visit. The boy had been hesitant around Logan at first, but Emily's husband had won him over with patience and gentle humor, qualities that surprised everyone, including Logan himself. "Uncle Logan, watch this." Alex called out before attempting a clumsy cannonball. Logan cheered as if it were an Olympic performance when he caught Emily watching from the balcony. His face lit up with a smile that still took her breath away. The contract had expired 2 weeks ago. Logan had presented Emily with divorce papers and a key to a house in her hometown, fully paid for. "You're free," he'd said. "I won't hold you to an arrangement you never wanted." Emily had torn up the papers and thrown her arms around his neck. "I'm exactly where I want to be." Now, as she watched Logan lift Alex out of the pool with easy strength, she pressed her hand to her still flat belly, where their own child was growing. She hadn't told him yet, wanted to find the perfect moment to share the news that would transform their house into a true home. Logan appeared in the doorway, hair damp from the pool, eyes bright with joy. "Alex wants to know if you'll make your famous pancakes for breakfast." "Only if his uncle helps," Emily said, pulling Logan into her arms. "I love you, Mrs. Blackwood," he murmured against her ear. "And I love you, Mr. Blackwood. All of you." They had begun as strangers bound by necessity, but they had chosen to become something beautiful. In a house that had once echoed with loneliness, love had finally found its way home. Asterisk the end. Asterisk, asterisk, like this video if the story touched your heart. Subscribe for more emotional tales, and share with someone who believes in the power of true love, and let us know in the comments. We love connecting with our global community of romance lovers,